Hi there, it's Brett Hornby back here. This will be personal vlog number 2 here. And this time I'll be talking about, I'd say, how the summer 2018 has gone this far. And the other day was a very historic day in Calgary, or at least in recorded history. I mean, first, so far this summer hasn't been too exciting. I mean, I did plan to slow down a little this year after last year, Canada 150. I definitely did a lot of activities around there, take as much in, make a few trips to the mountains and experience new things, but I did find that by the time fall rolled around, I was gassed. So I mean, this year I'm taking it a little easier. So far, if you've been following me and my YouTube channel, I've been thinking about all the projects, and obviously I've already put out my Calgary sports videos and captured some moments since I'm a season ticket holder of the Calgary Stampeders. And I mean, this personal vlog thing, there's been already a couple, but I just plan on throwing those out sporadically when I feel fit to fill something in or talk about, try to tie it in with all my other projects on my channel. But this would be my platform for anything that's on my mind, any significant milestones, which that was my first personal blog about how Mount Robson changed my life in terms of how I go on holidays, and I was reflecting that 10 years ago. And any other rants or current events. So I mean, so far, this has been the summer of I've been making plans, and some of them have gone to its fruition, but I've had others where, I've had some time off from work, like just take a couple days off. But I originally planned a few small trips, and even this past season I had an ambitious plan to catch a CFL football road trip, where it would have been the last week of July, where I was actually planning on going out to Winnipeg again this year to catch the Blue Bombers and Argonauts game, and that would have been the Friday night game, and then a move shop on Saturday to Regina to catch my Calgary Stampeders on the road in Regina. And I just felt last year it was nice to go out to Winnipeg last year. I mean, this year I was planning on breaking up the drive, where I was going to drive from here, Calgary, to Moose Jaw, which I figured out was kind of the unofficial halfway point between Calgary and Winnipeg, and then stay there overnight and drive to Winnipeg. Last year I drove from here to Winnipeg, and I did that in one shot, and that was a long drive. And it's 1,300 kilometers. I mean, Google tells you it's going to take 13 hours, but you got to factor in time to eat, go to the bathroom, get gas, do a little sightseeing, taking the fresh air, and see some new sights along the way. I mean, really, in reality. And then once you enter into Manitoba from Saskatchewan, you go ahead an hour as you enter in the Central Time Zone. Well, technically Saskatchewan's in the Central Time Zone, but they stay on Standard Time, so that's why right now we're in the daylight time. They're an hour, they're with us, but then in the winter time they're an hour ahead of us. But that's a rant for another time about time change. But that was my plan this year, was go to Winnipeg. It took me, I think, 16 hours. I mean, I remember I left home here at 3:30 in the morning, and I was checking in the hotel in Winnipeg at 7 o'clock in the evening. That includes the 1 hour time change, and I was pretty tired. And then the other thing was that I didn't go to the Calgary Stampede this year. I just didn't feel it, but I decided to start taking parade day off to avoid the crowds and commute. And I did plan a quick trip to Fernie. But here's another thing that, if you bother, make comment on it, comment below. But I usually find that going away for just a weekend, as opposed to going away for a week, I find it doesn't seem to cost that much more to go somewhere for a week as opposed to just a weekend. I don't know, that's just me, or I think usually you find you get more deals with hotels if you stay longer, especially if you stay during the week. And I don't personally own a car, so I have to rent a car, and I usually do find that the car rental per day is a little cheaper when you rent a car, let's say for a week as opposed to weekend. And as nice it is to always go away for the weekend, I always generally find that you try to rush out of work as soon as you can, or maybe try to sneak out early, or take a day off, or do whatever you need to do, and then you spend so much time getting there that by the time you get there, it's ready to time to go back home just in time for work on Monday. And sometimes you're more tired than, just staying home on the weekend to just relax and try to take in some cool air. Especially this past weekend, because this leads into my next point that I cover in my personal vlog. That Friday, August the 10th, 2018, it was a very historic day in Calgary. Very historic, as since 1881, when weather records were kept. August 10th, 2018 is now the new hottest day ever. It got to 36.5 degrees when they rounded up to 37 degrees in Calgary. And that's the hottest day ever. And I got a couple other dates here that were also, tells you how historic this day is. That this is over 85 years. Because it happened twice where it was 36.1 degree. I mean, we're talking about fractions of a degree here, but July 15th, 1919, and July 25th, 1933. Both of those occasions it got to 36.1 degree in Calgary. The other day there, it got to 36.5. And the other thing I say, a couple things that makes that more significant, and I would say it was actually much hotter, is one, this happened in August. And it's usually a lot harder for temperatures to get that high in August, because after the summer solstice, daylight hours get shorter. So by the time we get to the second week of August, there's one less hour of sunlight that occurs. So it takes even harder. And secondly, which is starting to become an annual thing, and it's being a lot drier here, especially the last couple of years, is all the wildfires that's going on. Unfortunately, western British Columbia, and there's some fires going on south of the border in Montana that it was smoky. So I'm thinking, if it wasn't smoky on Friday as it was, there could have been a couple more degrees, or maybe a full degree added to the new all-time record. And on the Fahrenheit scale, that's 97 degrees. So Calgary's never hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 38 degrees Celsius, since we follow the metric system up here in Canada. But this is very rare considering how close we are to the mountains. I mean, yeah, we do get chinooks and reprieves in the winter, with the dry, moist air coming down from the mountains, blowing in from the west, raising the temperature up in the winter. But because we're near the mountains and so high up in the atmosphere, it's pretty hard to get to that hot. I mean, parts in, southwest, southeast Alberta, southwestern Alberta, southeastern Saskatchewan, that same day, while it was 36, 37 degrees right here in Calgary, it was 40 degrees in places like Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, where they're further out from the mountains, and it always gets a lot hotter in that parts of the province. So it does get hot up here in Canada, but even more so in August. It's even harder with the shorter sunlight hours. But personally, I was working that day, and then I made sure I stayed inside. And then last thing before I close out for my personal vlog number 2 here is that this almost reminded me of the time when I was in Mexico, where I was in Cabo San Lucas the end of July in 2009 to celebrate as a family my mom's grandparents' 50th anniversary. But talking about climate and how hot it is in Mexico, it's normal at the end of July there, where every day it's 38 degrees, but the humidity is like 60-70%, which that's definitely something I don't know how I can handle it, because it normally also gets that high, and sometimes in Southern Ontario where it gets to be, in the high 30s, low 40s, but the humidity is, unbearable. I mean, I can't understand how you people would be able to deal with that. At least here, it's the humidity is much lower, so it minimizes the effect where the humidity isn't the killer. But then Friday, 10, 11 o'clock at night, it felt a lot cooler because the sun set, but it was still almost 30 degrees outside, and that was kind of like that same experience in Mexico, where I was thinking, this actually feels nice and cool, and then realizing it's still 30 degrees, when I'm thinking a 30-degree day is still a pretty hot day. And actually, the last couple of years, Environment Canada issues a heat advisory, a heat warning, when there's going to be consecutive days of temperatures over 29 degrees for a high, and overnight lows greater than 14 degrees. Well, that's the threshold and criteria here in Canada, since we're not as accustomed to it. I mean, other parts in the States would say, oh, that's just a normal day, but that gives you the threshold of ideas of temperature. But anyway, I mean, if you enjoy this or all my other Calgary sports takes and some scenery videos, which there'll be a holiday coming up later this month, so there'll definitely be some scenery videos there. So hit like, subscribe if you enjoy everything I do, and I'll see you at the next video.